Indian music, it's so much more than just what you hear, right? It's this incredible living tradition that's been changing and growing for thousands of years. So how do you even begin to wrap your head around something that big? Well, you break it down. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to look at the anatomy of Indian music, piece by piece.
All right, here's our roadmap. First, we'll look at the very soul of Sangeet, what it actually means. Then we'll see how classical and popular music interact. We'll explore the big divide between North and South, dig into the three pillars that hold it all up, and finally take a lightning tour through its millennia-long history.
Okay, first things first. We have to understand that when we talk about music in India, it's not just about sound. Nope, it's a way bigger idea, and it's all wrapped up in this one beautiful word, Sangeet.
And the key to unlocking what Sangeet really is lies in this ancient Sanskrit phrase. Now, this isn't just some poetic line. This is the actual definition, the foundation that shaped Indian arts for centuries. So let's see what it says.
So what does it mean? It means Sangeet is a trinity. It's the coming together of three things: vocal music, instrumental music, and dance. Think about that. From the very start, these three weren't considered separate arts. They were seen as totally inseparable parts of one single, holistic art form.
All right, so now that we know what Sangeet is, let's dive a little deeper. Inside this world, the music basically flows in two main streams. You can think of them as two different but totally connected traditions.
On one hand, you have Marg Sangeet. This is the classical stuff. Imagine a deep, quiet, soulful river. It's tied to sacred ceremonies, and it's been carefully refined over centuries. And on the other hand, you've got Desi Sangeet. This is the popular folk music. It's more like these free-flowing streams you'd find in the hills, constantly changing and guided by what people love to hear.
But here's the really cool part. These two streams aren't totally separate. They're constantly flowing into each other. You know, a popular folk tune can be taken, refined, and over time, it becomes classical. A great example is the Khyal style. And at the same time, classical music is always borrowing from these popular forms to stay fresh and vibrant. It's this constant give and take that keeps the whole tradition so incredibly alive.
Okay, so let's zoom in on that classical or Marg stream for a minute. It actually splits into two major styles, and it's pretty much a north-south divide. You have the Hindustani tradition up in the north, and the Carnatic tradition down in the south.
Now, what's fascinating is that both of these styles, Hindustani and Carnatic, they actually spring from the exact same ancient source. But over hundreds of years, they started to develop their own unique local colors. The north, for example, had a lot of influence from Iranian and Persian music. This cultural exchange is a huge reason why Hindustani music has that famous fluid, improvisational quality to it.
And you can really see these differences when you get into the nitty-gritty. Just take a look at the names for the musical notes, which are called swaras. See how the Hindustani system has these komal notes? Komal means soft or flat. Using these soft variations of notes is what helps create that smooth, gliding sound that's so characteristic of northern music. It's a really clear technical difference compared to the Carnatic style.
And this difference in approach naturally leads to different kinds of music, and even different philosophies. In the north, with forms like Drupad and Khyal, the big focus is often on the note itself, the swara. It's all about exploring the emotional depth of a single note. But in the south, in Carnatic music, there's this beautiful balance. The note, the swara, is just as important as the word, the shabd. They give equal weight to both.
So, we've talked about the big picture, Sangeet, the two streams, north versus south. But what are these styles actually made of? Well, no matter if it's Hindustani or Carnatic, all Indian music stands on three fundamental pillars.
Pillar number one is swara, the sound, or the note. And right away, we hit a huge difference from most Western music. See, there's no such thing as absolute pitch, like a fixed middle C on a piano. Instead, the musician decides their own bass pitch, their shadaja. And then every other note in the performance is built in perfect relation to that starting point. This makes the music incredibly personal and flexible. It's tailored to the artist every single time.
Okay, pillar number two is tal. That's the beat. But we're not talking about a simple 1, 2, 3, 4 click track here. Oh no. Tal is a sophisticated rhythmic cycle. It's the framework that gives the music its pulse, its structure, its entire backbone. And this cycle can unfold at different speeds. You can have the slow, meditative vilambit, the steady, medium, madhyam, or the super fast and exciting drut.
And that brings us to the third and arguably the most important pillar, the rag. The rag is truly the heart and soul of Indian music. Now, it's really tempting to just call it a scale, but it is so much more than that. Think of a rag as a melodic framework. It's like a personality built out of specific notes with its own rules and phrases, all designed to create a very specific mood or emotion. And the core quality, the whole point, is delightfulness, that ability to evoke a powerful, distinct feeling in anyone who's listening. So you have swara, tal, and rag. These are incredibly sophisticated concepts, right? So where did they come from? To answer that, we need to jump in a time machine. Let's take a really quick trip through a few thousand years of history to see how this all came to be.
Okay, here we go. This story really kicks off in ancient times with the super precise musical chanting of the Vedic hymns. Then around 200 CE, a massive milestone. The sage Bharat writes the Natya Shastra. This thing was basically an encyclopedia for all the performing arts, and it became the foundation for everything that followed. Fast forward 1,000 years, and another key text, the Sangeet Ratnakar, gets written, organizing everything systematically. Then things get supercharged. The passionate Bhakti movement and the rich Mughal courts created an explosion of new forms, giving us absolute legends like Tansen. And finally, we jump to the early 20th century, when a modern resurgence, led by scholars like V.N. Bodkinde, brings this incredible art form out of the elite courts and shares it with the public.
And you know, this incredible history isn't just something you read about in dusty old books. It's a living tradition. It's passed down directly from teacher to student through what are called gharanas, or schools of music. Each gharana has its own distinct style, its own special way of interpreting the music. This is exactly how modern masters, like the legendary sitar player Pandit Ravi Shankar, inherit, embody, and then push this ancient knowledge into the future.
So, when you think about it, from those ancient Vedic chants all the way to today's global concert halls, Indian music has literally never stood still. It has always been evolving. It's a constant conversation between the classical and the popular, between North and South, between the ancient past and the modern moment. And that leaves us with a final, lingering thought. For a tradition that has been in a constant state of evolution for millennia, what do you think its next melody will be?